Hi, so now we're going to dip into physiological synchrony. This happens in our autonomic nervous system. That's the part of our nervous system that normally happens automatically without our voluntary control. Now, we've seen before that during interaction we imitate each other, and when we're in group behaviour we are performing more or less the same actions. In a choir or in a drumming circle, we're performing the same actions, we're in the same environment, and so you might expect that our insides of physiology would be the same. And that is indeed the case. We can measure all sorts of correlations, all sorts of physiological correlations between people when they're doing group behaviour together. But what researchers have found is that we get this physiological synchrony between us even when we're not performing the same behaviour, even when we're not in the same environment. And so it's nothing to do with these external cues, it's to do with a social context. There's something about social interaction that is causing aspects of our autonomic nervous system to synchronize, and the sort of things that scientists are measuring are heart rate variability, blood pressure, stress hormone levels, skin conductance, which reflects emotional change, the amount of blushing that goes on in your skin, the size of your pupil, body temperature, breathing rate and pattern, and all these things which are normally automatically controlled start to come into a coordination with the other person that you're interacting with. So here we've got a nice little demonstration of the sort of data that comes out when scientists are recording heart rates of husband and wife while they're asleep, and using all sorts of complex systems, mathematics, they can work out that these two graphs, which seem to be going up and down pretty randomly, are in fact listening and responding to each other. I mean, it's very difficult for us to see by looking at it, but you can work it out mathematically. I mean, we might be able to see it here a little bit in that the dark one goes up and down first, and then the second one copies almost exactly as to what's going on. So anyway, it can be proven, it can be established mathematically that there is a relationship going on between the behaviour of the husband's heart and the behaviour of the wife's heart. So scientists have proven that our hearts listen to and respond to each other during sleep in a relationship. And what they found is that couples who will either sleep together in a bed or sleep in two separate beds in two separate rooms still have their hearts listening and responding to each other, but the in-phase synchronization is much stronger when they are sharing the same bed than when they're in separate rooms. So different researchers have tried to rule out different cues that the bodies are using to sync with each other, and they managed to rule out visual and auditory cues. So if you blindfold people, they still come into synchrony. If you cut off all the opportunities to speak to each other, they still sync with each other. So it's not speaking or looking at each other that causes the hearts to come into coordination. What is interesting is that women seem far more ready to come into physiological synchrony with their partner than the other way round, and obviously that is being followed up by several schools of social neuroscientists who are interested to know why that is. As yet, no solid answer. So just going to finish up with two quick slides here. So this penultimate slide is a quotation from the review paper by Palumbo and his chums, who did this massive review of physiological synchrony between people in lots of different situations. And their conclusion is that the autonomic nervous system is not only extremely responsive to the nervous systems of other people, but in some instances it's completely dependent on them. So what scientists are getting at is that our nervous system is not separate. It's meant to be interacting with other nervous systems all the time, and that this is part of our important attachment processes that go on in the womb and when we're infants, and that we learn how to self-regulate by how we co-regulate with others around us, and that this forms part of the physical aspect of our attachment relationships as adults. So what we're doing with somatic empathy with our clients is building on this natural silent conversation that goes on all the time with everyone around us. We'll leave it there.